Drum nerds, drum nerdesses, dudes, dudettes, never cats. How's it going out there? So, obviously that was Terry Bozzio, but we're looking at Aldious, specifically for the reasons of Marina Bozzio. Now, some sources have said it's stepdaughter, some says real daughter. We're not here related to or family member of Terry Bozzio. That's not really why we're here anyways. What we're really here for is, why does Terry Bozzio suspiciously look a lot like Liam Neeson? Now, put your answers in the comments below, but what we're really here for is Aldious. There's been so many suggestions for this, specifically for Miss Bozzio there. You might know Frank from Debbie Harry, from Jeff Beck. Very, very commonly known for his work with Frank Zappa. Rest in peace, legendary musician, composer, all-around freedom of speech advocator. But this has been heavily suggested, so we're going to get right in. Before we do, thanks very much for joining. And if you are a new Drum Nerd family member, welcome aboard. And if you're not, consider joining. We're a great family, great group of individuals. I've also been suggested Larnell Lewis quite a lot, so I already had a few in the pipeline, but there will be some snarky puppy Larnell Lewis as well. But yeah, here we go. Let's get right into it. I have no idea what to expect. But I can see, so already we've got the shallow toms. That was a bit of a trend a few years ago, and it stuck around. It's kind of less space for the same sound sort of deal, but here we go. Oh, that's a bit of a naughty effect symbol. That was a China, but it had some holes in it, so it was an effect symbol, but it was also China, so interesting sound there. And three? Are those 3 bass drums? That's a whole... Those are 3 bass drums. Holy crap. I was thinking, she has really adopted her dad's kind of kit. If you know anything about Terry Bozzio, he's famous for a lot of things, but his drum kit is definitely one of the top. Wow. I suffered a wild day. Did you see those frets? Those frets, here, I'm going to go back. Those were pretty interesting, illuminated frets. You can see them there. But I will be talking about the snare drum very soon. Look at that, there you go. See, now you heard that tom. You guys are going to love or hate me, but look, it's a Drum Nerd channel. If you're not liking this, you have the original video in the description. To me, shallow body toms just don't work. They just don't. It's basically snare drums with disengaged snares. If you love the short, shallow tom configuration, fill your boots, be my guest. But I personally feel like it doesn't actually retain the same sonic properties that you get from, a 12x8 is not, to me, going to be the same as a 12 by what that looks like, 4.5. Or, you do lose a bit of that depth, that sound. I do have to concede, they do sound good, granted, but they're not a substitute or a replacement to me. Wow, that's pretty incredible. What are they doing there? Can somebody explain to me what we're doing here? I'm thinking we're in half of the YMCA. Obviously, I don't know what this is, but please, for those who do know, let me know. I assume the A is for Aldious, possibly, but... Fantastic double pedal, though, that has to be said. I mean... See, right there, I want to go back. I got 2 points to make. Obviously, she's got, no doubt, lessons from Mr. Terry there. No doubt at all. That doesn't detract from her natural ability. But then that gets into the nature-nurture side of this whole thing. But I want you to hear those toms, okay? And tell me where you stand. It's just a bit too high-pitched. But three kick drums. Why? See, that is really, it's really talented that they all get in there together. Very well created and orchestrated. You got to appreciate a bit of bass tapping. A bit of tapping. Let's just hear that. You just got to appreciate that. Ooh, before we get into that really dirty, distorted, crunchy guitar solo, again, I hope my position can be made very clear here. Shallow stack toms serve a purpose as shallow stack toms. They have a sound, they are great. I do like how they sound when you know that they are to be sounding in that way. But I will be very, very transparent that I am not a fan of them if they are to substitute a regular stacked tom. To me, an 8x4 is not an 8x, well, that's a very small tom. Okay, a 12x8 is not a 12x4. So they do have a great sound for what they are, but they are not the substitute for the original sound. You notice she's got a pretty big, what I'm assuming is a 16x16 or a 16x18 floor tom there, and traditional size bass drum. So, yeah. Great bass drum pattern though on the double there. Oh, here we go. They do sound well recorded, well mic'd up. That's a nice sounding. Of course, that's a nice sounding drum kit. It is a DW kit, so they got the whole VLT shell, the whole vertical this, vertical that. John Good is a master of wood and drum creation, so we'll do a whole different video on that. But yeah, they're incredible sounding drums. Awesome bit of guitar there. Great bass. Yes, holding it down. Very accurate stabs. Oh, it kind of leaves you hanging there, doesn't it? How they didn't finish it. Oh, that was well executed. That was well done, really. Honestly, that is really, really good stuff there. Again, there's been other videos where I've said stabs, so for anybody who's not versed in what stabs might be, it's just specific moments where everybody kind of pushes or lands on the same beat together. So you can either do it on an upbeat or on a push, so it doesn't land on the down on the downbeat, or you can do it on the downbeat. But the point being, everybody is moving kind of uniformly on a note, on a phrase, right? And that can be multi-noted or that can be single note. But honestly, kind of blew me away there. I was not expecting that. I love getting these suggestions for these Japanese, these Korean bands, these Scandinavian bands, these Canadian bands, you name it. I love finding all these new things out, and I had no idea, hand on heart, I had no idea that Terry Bozzio had a daughter or stepdaughter, not the point. I had no idea he had a daughter that was such a wicked cool, great drummer in in a band, and I wouldn't have guessed that she would have been Japanese. Um, so I'm happy to know all these new things. You guys are and gals are learning me a lot. I think this is great. So I really enjoyed that. I hope I said it correctly, Aldious or Aldous. But I will be investigating more of their stuff. But yes, thank you very much. I look forward to diving down some more rabbit holes here. So I hope you've all been well. I hope you're having a great holiday season. And yeah, those drumming parts were well crafted. That has to be said. I don't think there's been one thing that I've seen so far that has been a suggestion from the drum nerd community. I don't think there's been a suggestion with a bad drummer. It's really, really impressive. So let's get into it further. All right, stay safe and keep your stick on the ice.